Hello and welcome to Camera Review. Today we are looking at alternatives. As you may know, Canon has had their flash out for a very long time, their EX-RT2 for a long time, and this is one that I think they're going to be replacing very soon. As you may see, they have their prices drop on websites such as B&H and other platforms, and we are considering on what may be the next step from Canon as they come out with their new flash. Now we may be wondering, is it still worth the value that it has, because it was selling at around $580 or $579, and it has dropped down to about $479 or $480, as you may say. And this is something that has been of consideration for a lot of photographers, because as you may know, if you're doing photography for weddings or events, you're going to need a lot of flash, and you're going to need to be able to have a lot of recycling time. On the recycling time size, you got about up to 5.5 seconds if you are draining the batteries on the EX-RT2, and it is for that reason sometimes people are putting external power adapters or other sorts of things to compensate for that recharging time. It is known that the recharging time, if it's in a very low setting, can be as low as 0.1 seconds. My general experience using the 600EX RT2 is that it needs about a second and a half or almost 2 seconds at times to recharge, and that is not very fast time if you're doing, for example, where you need to use the flash effectively, for example, action, or in a way that has a lot of people moving in one way or another. So it is for that reason it is important to have a strong flash. Now there are of course external power supplies that either Canon has, or you can buy like from Nissin or Godox, that they have supplies for these flashes, but yet when you put the package together, you're looking again to a number like $800. So I figured, how about the other options that may be out there that I can offer to people, that they can use it or have it in their system where they can save space, they can save money, and that is what I wanted to talk about. Is it still worthwhile the value at $479? We're going to find that out. First of all, let's look at the alternatives. The alternatives, there are two. You can go either buying a 580 or 430, which is a lower priced item. It's not going to give you as good results. On the positive side, you have all the way up to 200 millimeter protrusion or extension within the lens, within the body of the flash. So that means you can shoot far, and the guide number is about 197. So that translates to about 75 watt power. So 75 is a very good number. That is equivalent to a very powerful flash. So you may be asking yourself, is there anything I can do to get more out of my flash? And the answer is yes. There are companies like Profoto that have come out with new designs. You may know their round-headed design, which they sell as Profoto A1 or A1X. They have been very popular, but their prices, of course, have gone up really. At $1,100 is what they are costing. So it's like getting three Canon flashes for the price of one Profoto A1X. So the question has always been, what can I do to improve the quality of my work by having flashes that recycle faster? And the answer to that is one that I found to be very useful, is the Godox V1. Godox V1 is almost an identical version of Profoto that sells about $259. So if you're looking at a 260, it's about well, less than 1/4 the price of a Pro A1X. There are a lot of reviews, and I have done some reviews as well, that you will find the Pro 1 A1X or A1 to be performing at the same power levels and at the same consistency as the Godox V1. The main difference is Godox V1 does not have the beautiful interface of large numbers on the back. They use a different older scales, and that is also a very accepted form of adjusting the flash power. But basically it is one that is very good to use. It has a large panel in the back. It just takes a little bit more useful time that you will need to make sure that you understand how the system works. Profoto made it incredibly simple. You just go from 10 to lower numbers by dialing the dial. You don't use the classical system of 1/16th or 1/32nd or 1/64th power, which is probably the easier way of understanding the flash powers. But that is, of course, a choice that a lot of photographers have to make, whether that you're going to use the A1 or the A1X versus the Godox V1. So speaking of Godox One, how does it compare to Canon? Let's look at the numbers. First of all, you're going to see the Canon has got 75 watt powers, and this one, the Godox one, is 76. They're about the same, so I will say the power output is the same. What makes the difference is the way the flash is designed. The flash has got a rounder head. That means it's going to have a more circular, more smoother look rather than a rectangular look. For me, that is already a big plus. Secondly, you can have these units that you can put in front of the flash, like the grids or the color gels, and they are pre-made to fit exactly with the system. For anyone who buys a Canon flash, they will have to go and buy additional accessories from Magmod or Rogue to shape the light, and that means you have to put grids and you have to put such things as diffusers and all these things in front of it, and they really cost a lot of money. They can run a couple of $100. You're already putting up a lot of money for it, but Godox includes some of these kits in their packages so that you can save a whole bundle of money and still get your color gels and your grids, everything else put into one. So in a way that you are getting an incredible deal when you put that together. All the charge cycles, I have found that the charge cycles on the 600EX is about 200 to 250 flashes if you consider that you're using it on a consistent basis and not firing it on rapid rows and draining the battery too fast. On the Godox side, you're going to find that you can do about 350 of shots with one battery, and that is quite decent number, and of course it outperforms Canon in that respect. Or if you look at the Canon specs, they'll go from 100 to 700 based on the battery, but they're not counting it as the full charge flash. So in my experience, they've been used Canon extensively with their flashes. It is about 200 to 250. That is what you will get, and that is considering that you have very good batteries. On the other side, you may look at the weight. Weight is a serious consideration. Canon is a little lighter, 425 grams. The one that Godox has is a little bit heavier. It is at 530 grams, and that is a difference about 80 grams. So you're talking about, well, a quarter of a pound. And that is something that some people might say, okay, that's a little bit too much, or a little bit less would be better. If you're, for example, a female photographer, you may feel that that weight is going to weigh things down. But on the positive side, you're getting more shots and you're getting a better output from your camera's capabilities, and joining it with the flash, because if you keep it on the camera body itself, you're going to have a more rounded spread, and that is going to help your photography to look better, especially if you're using diffusers or gels. If you decide you want to take it off the camera, again, that is where the advantages come in, because you are going to be able to control it remotely by having a remote. And that is something that I always recommend to everyone that comes to me and attends my workshops or asks me for an opinion. You eventually want to take the flash off your camera and use it to create different variety of looks, and that's where it comes important, because if you are going to go in the direction of buying the remote for the Canon, their STRT, that is going to cost you about $260. If you go with the one that the Godox has, that's about $70. You're still saving a big bundle of money, and they're basically they're compatible in terms of the user interface, because they are very good in terms of being able to dial each flash group and be able to select your power ranges by simply dialing it on the remote, and that means you don't have to walk to the lights and then reset them into the rate that you want them. This is a big advantage if you are, for example, doing photography where you have it's changing of circumstances and you need to move the lights, and when you move the lights, of course, the power ratios change, and that means you don't have the chance to measure them and then having them photograph. So this is a good way of doing it. One of the main advantages, of course, with Canon flashes is they are made by Canon, and they are, of course, well integrated system. But on the positive side, you will feel that Godox offers a better value for one, the quality of the light, which is very consistent. The power is very consistent, and you're getting more shots, and of course the light shaping tools gives you an incredible advantage. On the other side of things, if you look at the way the Canon has been designed, it's designed to have a square head. The square head is, of course, something that we have associated with flash, but a rounder head is going to be something that the photographers have to get used to, because it is something new, and it gives a different perspective into how a flash can be shaped. For that, I think that Profoto and Godox have led the way. I think that eventually Canon will probably come out with a round-headed flash. I would say if you are going to invest in any of these, I would go with the Godox V1, because they give you a greater advantage in terms of user interface, with incorporation it with different lighting instruments that the Godox offers. So for example, if you're using the V1, you could use one of their strobes and still control it on the interface. That is an incredible advantage. Canon does not have this kind of a setup where they have different types of strobes for example, studio lighting, or their more powerful equipment that the other companies offer. So in that advantage side, I think Godox has a variety of tools that you can apply. Also, the light shaping instruments like the softboxes or beauty dishes are also available from Godox. So that makes it equally as valid for purchasing something like a Godox. And for that, I think that you may find investing into a system of flashes that is well integrated to work with a Canon or the system that is designed for that, I think, has been well achieved by Godox. So without hesitation, I would say Godox is the way to go. Now, you may find that this is a hot selling items, and it may be hard to find it. I provided links down below where you can get the best prices, also get discounts on these items, and of course I always suggest that you get them in a package, so those are also listed down below. I have other reviews where I compare Profoto A1 with the A1X, and also Godox V1 systems in general with other flashes. So you can find those links on our channel as well, and they are in our description section below. If you have questions, comments, anything you want to discuss, please feel free to comment in the section below, and I will answer them as best as I can. So I hope that this has been an informative review, and I'll see you in our next review. Thank you for watching.